Hey everyone, this is Godzilla 2012 here again today with another figure review, and this figure review is on the NECA 2001 Godzilla, also known to the Godzilla community as the GMK Godzilla. Now before we jump into the actual review, I just want to point out that I've been looking forward to this figure ever since NECA posted pictures of it online. Ever since then, I've just really wanted to have a articulated GMK Godzilla, because for a long time the only GMK Godzilla I could access was the Bandai America / Bandai Creation version, and I'm not gonna lie, for a standard Bandai vinyl, that's a good deal. But as far as everything else is concerned, I was just stuck with that one figure until just recently when I got this. Thankfully, NECA went out of their way to make a GMK Godzilla, unfortunately around the same time as Monster Arts, because this figure has been pretty much overshadowed by that figure, understandably of course, because it is Monster Arts. It's kind of hard to beat them when it comes to detail and articulation, but at the end of the day, I think both figures have their pros and cons. So let's jump into this figure and look at the detail and paint job. As you can see, detail wise, I've heard people complain about the head, and I don't really have much of a problem with it. I mean, up front, he does look like the GMK Godzilla from the movie, but from the sides, I don't know if this is on the actual suit, like the scales right here. It kind of reminds me of Gillman from Creature from the Black Lagoon, or the, that one thing from, oh, the Kraken. Yeah, it reminds me of the Kraken. See, it took me a second there to think of it. The claws look really good, if you ask me, although I do not really know why they added those little, like, skin-toned highlights on the claws themselves, but, you know, it is what it is. The legs look okay. The feet, I've heard people complain about the feet. It is the Godzilla community, after all. There's always got to be some kind of foot fetish going on. It's been like this ever since 2014. Come on, guys, they're just fucking feet! They look fine to me, okay? The tail... They've made the tail longer on this figure, especially when compared to their like 54 Godzilla. On here, it looks like more in scale, if you ask me. The spines look pretty much movie screen accurate. You'll notice the paint smudges. That's because of the packaging for my figure. So, you know, it is what it is. You can't always get a 10 out of 10 like perfection figure. And yeah, the overall, like, torso, the kneecaps, everything about this figure as far as detail goes, I think they hit the nail on the head. And as you can see, for some strange reason, this figure may look like it has a green tint, and that is not some kind of, like, camera issue. Because what you're seeing on camera is you're seeing more of a charcoal gray color, whereas in person, under the right lighting, this figure can look green. And it's like, that's an odd choice for all the Godzilla figures they could have made green. They chose GMK Godzilla, and it's just kind of like, yeah, okay. But it doesn't really bother me, because whenever I have this figure out, it's usually underneath the right lighting, not the kind of lighting that overexposes it, like, say, this lighting. So, real quick, we're going to look at articulation. And the reason why I say real quick is, well, I mean, just look at it. If you own a NECA Godzilla figure, you pretty much know what to expect at this point. There's usually 3 points in the leg, or 4, if you include the feet. The arms can also move in several areas. Right here, the upper arm, the forearm, the hands, the claws move. Which, by the way, I'm surprised some of the earlier Godzilla figures didn't do this. Like, big missed opportunity when they took a step down for G84 to not have this. They should have included that for him. I'm glad they're making it pretty much a necessity on all their Godzilla figures. Smart choice by them. The chest, like the waistline moves, the neck moves in 2 different areas. Well, I should say the head. But, you know, it is what it is, I guess. Man, that might as well be the thumbnail. It is what it is! God, you'd think I'd come up with something else to say, but that's literally like the first thing that comes to mind. The tail moves in 1, 2, 3, 4 different places! Ah, 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 ah! The count would bitch slap me if he heard me say something like that, or even try to impersonate him for that matter. And yeah, that's basically articulation. It's, for a NECA figure, of course, it's standard, but at the same time, it's not a disappointment, because you can literally pose him almost any way you want. Except, and here's the downside to this figure if you ask me, I've seen photos where this figure looks upright, but I can't for the life of me get this figure to go upright, because it feels like something's blocking it from going up, and the most you can do is make it go down like this. Like, you know, he's depressed that he can't, you know, actually look up in the sky and see the sun. You know, that'd be depressing if all you could do is stare at the ground and weep and, like, cry like a baby because of it. That would be very depressing, not gonna lie to you. But yeah, I can't really get him to go up any higher, and then it's just, you know, that's what she said. And grow up, Christian. But yeah, that's basically the biggest limit this figure has as far as like movement goes. Everything else is pretty easy, pretty standard, just like all the rest of the NECAs, like I stated earlier. Pretty standard at this point. So yeah, it's pretty good. Now let's jump into sizing, even though it's going to be a little odd to try and do size comparisons when this figure can't go upright. But I'll try and do the best I can. Here he is next to the Bandai America / Bandai Creation GMK Godzilla, or Godzilla 2001. And as you can see, like I mentioned earlier, it's great to be able to have this figure because while this is a Bandai vinyl, and that's the way this figure looks is typically standard for most of them, this looks so simplistic when compared to this, honestly. This just has more going on, and it's just so much better than this figure in almost every way. This is nice to have, but honestly, I would recommend if you only have this, make a leap forward and get this guy while you still can. Here he is next to the Bandai Japan Shin Godzilla, or Shin Godzilla, whatever you prefer. And I literally had to move my camera upright because of how tall this bastard is. But yeah, as you can see, this is what he looks like next year, Bandai Japan Godzilla 2016. And, you know, on the topic of Shin Godzilla, if you'd like to see my thoughts on Shin Godzilla, you can click this video thumbnail right here. What? Oh, hang on, just wait a second, hold on. Any minute now, any minute, it's going to appear, and once you see it, I hope you click on it and have it saved in another window. Oh, wait, is it coming? Is it coming? Oh, there it is, click it before it goes away. It's your last chance, click it! Here he is next to the NECA Godzilla 1954, and I must say that while I do like this GMK Godzilla, I still think their best figure may be, as far as classic Godzillas are concerned, because if I were to throw in 2014, then 2014 would take the cake easily. But as far as classic Godzillas go, this guy's still my number one, because I do like this figure a lot. It's a really great figure. But there's something about this 54 that I enjoy more. It's hard to describe. Maybe I just like how, you know, they did take liberties with the design. It is what it is. Look, here comes that thumbnail. It is what it is. Returning. It is what it is forever. It is what it is in Robin. Oh, see, now I'm just going off track. But this guy right here is what made me trust NECA again. So maybe that has something to do with it. This GMK is definitely number 2. This would be number 1. But I will say they're both great figures as far as NECA's line of Godzilla series figures goes. But that was a bit of a tongue twister for some weird reason. Ugh. Here he is next to the Bandai Japan 8-inch GMK King Ghidorah, and man, I've been wanting to pull this figure out for a long time, but never had a good reason to. That is until I got another GMK-related action figure, and it's like, okay, well now I can pull out this GMK Ghidorah that I've been having on my shelf that's collecting dust. But as you can see, he is an 8-inch figure. He's ginormous! This is not on-screen accurate because Godzilla surprisingly towers Ghidorah in that film. But if you wanted to do a fan film or some kind of stop-motion animation where Godzilla looks smaller than this Ghidorah, then I'd say it's size accurate for that purpose alone. But yeah, as far as sizing goes, not very accurate unless you're willing to take liberties like NECA does with a lot of their Godzilla figures. And that's about it for this figure. Overall, if I had to give this figure a rating, I would give it a 4 out of 5. Simply because, as far as detail goes, it won me over. The articulation is just as standard as you can get when it comes to a NECA, but again, it's not disappointing because I expected it. The paint job can appear a little funky underneath certain lightings, but for the most part, he looks charcoal gray. And I just feel for $20 that this is a great figure to have in your collection, especially if you don't already own the Monster Arts, because I'll be honest, if you own the Monster Arts, then there may not be a real reason to own the NECA, other than just being a completionist, say like some people I know. And you may be wondering, oh, Gojira 2012, how could you prefer the monster arts when you own the NECA? Funny story, actually, because back in July, I was able to toy around with my friend's, his name is Dylan, and if you're curious to who he is, check out that Shin Godzilla video I talked about earlier on. I was able to toy around with his monster arts figure for a while we were at G-Fest. Actually, we weren't at G-Fest, but we'll just say we were at G-Fest. We were at G-Fest, I was toying around with it, and just being able to hold that thing in my hands and be able to look at it up close, I can tell you straight up that it's probably the best GMK action figure I've held in my hands. This one is very good, especially if you don't own the monster arts. And funny thing to mention about this and the monster arts has a problem where when you close its mouth, it doesn't really look screen accurate as much as it does with its mouth open. This guy is the complete opposite. I should have mentioned this earlier, but see, when his mouth is closed like this, he does look screen accurate. But once you open that jaw, oh my god, what the hell is that? Literally looks like he got hit in the jaw with a sledgehammer. Not that I know what that feels like, but man, what happened? All the other Godzilla jaws open up like normal. This guy looked like he just found out his wife was pregnant. Or, you know, his 16-year-old girlfriend, which, by the way, 16 and pregnant? Don't do it. Why do you even attempt it? Why? America. That's why. America. But see, with his mouth open, he just looks goofy as hell. So you're better off just keeping it shut. Yeah. That's the best excuse to shut your damn mouth. Oh. But yeah, overall, it's a really good figure. Definitely one of NECA's better ones. And if you want to get it, but you don't already have the monster arts, I would recommend getting it. But if you have the monster arts, then maybe you want to save your money for another monster arts. Until next time, this is Gojira 2012 saying farewell for now.